Well, I'm very excited we have NRL Finals Fantasy to play now. I've had to make up this game myself for a while, so thankfully we've got this from SuperCoach. Although, that is the good news only of today from SuperCoach. We unfortunately finally had the NBL launch, and the response from everyone has been absolutely disgusting. So, makes sense. There's no classic game anymore. It's just a weekly fantasy game, exactly like this, basically. And yeah, unfortunately, strategy and these types of things just goes out the window a little bit. And you'll see here from my analysis on the players that we're looking at, we've got 8 teams to look at. It's very similar with the NBL with buys and stuff like that as well. So yeah, that was the unfortunate news of today. I'll still be doing a weekly video on NBL, but yeah, a little bit unfortunate that that's the way it's gone, especially given how much I really enjoyed making content and watching all of the NBL last year. So had to get my piece out on that one. Okay, hookers in fantasy finals. Now, I think there's only 2 that you should be looking at here. The other players are very much like a 5% could go really, really good pick. And that's Starling, Watson, and Wade Egan. The rest, don't look at. So you can pick one of those guys. They've got the mid-50s averages, as you can see there, throughout the whole season so far. But Watson, minutes are not likely going to help him. Starling, I do think he has the potential to go well. Against the Broncos, good team, there's certain weeks where he can have, score a try, get an assist, but it wasn't to be for the back end of the season, so not in exact form. Billy Walters could score okay, I think, for the Broncos there. He's another one actually on that list, I should say, with Wade Egan that could come in and do a job, but I do think that you want to go for Blake Brayley or Harry Grant. Complete personal choice, given Harry is coming back from suspension, so he's nice and fresh. He's the guy that I'm personally looking at the moment. He does have a lower average than Brayley, and we've seen the upside that Blake has. He's up against the Roosters, and yeah, when looking at final stats here, of course, is all we can kind of go off just straight up. Let's go back and check out what we're looking for here in Classic. We're gonna be able to see. We have to go into players, aren't we? Yeah, gonna have to go into players. It's gonna make it a little bit slow for content, so sorry about that on Legends. Mr. Blake Brayley. So now we can have a look at his season stats. And what you can see here is it was pretty slow up until that mid to late part of the season, but all of his scores from then on, his lowest score in since round 19 was 59. And I think if you're looking for a bit of consistency, then Blake is the way to go. He does have the odd upside game, but that's a little while ago now. What you're looking at with Grant is probably a little bit more of an up or down type style. But what we did see from Harry was his play went to a new level once he got into the finals last year, and he wasn't great for most of the year. And then the last few rounds in the finals is when he stepped up, and that's exactly what we were seeing coming into the final few weeks before he got suspended there. So Grant is the guy that I'm probably going to go with, but I think it's just him or Jaden Brayley for the final or Blake Brayley for the final few weeks. You can see there 25 in that last one against the Doggies, and he has 50s and 40s in that in him if he doesn't get attack. So that's the simple, easy one there to have a look at. Now, front row forwards. Let's get into them. Now, I think that it's very, very clear that Payne Haas is the best, and that's where a lot of people might pick him. You also have the flex position as well that you could go for someone like Payne. He's the simple, safe pick at the moment, but do you want to pick? Yeah, do you want to pick? Sorry, you can only pick 2 from the same team. So do you want to pick like him, Walsh, and maybe someone else potentially? Otherwise, he's the easy one. If you want a bit of an out there pick, Tarpanay should be the second best, just given I think minutes wise, he's going to play plenty in this game. We know he has attacking upside as well. Adam Fanua-Blake, probably less on that list. I think that he's just form-wise not one of the better guys to go with, but we know that he can be a 100-plus type of guy. Corey Horsburgh, I think, is one of the next on the list. You've got him, you've got Stefano as really important guys. We actually have Jackson Ford back in action as well, but Horsburgh, Stefano are the next 2 guys on the list, in my opinion, and then anything further from here, it doesn't get too exciting. We're looking at 40 average type players from there. So Payne Haas the safest, potential to go biggest probably as well. Tarpanay next, and then if you'd like, Adden, Horsburgh. Naf White could do okay, but I think Ice Paps as well could potentially score a try off the bench, but Stefano we know with him we can get some decent scores, especially recently as well. He's someone that's been improving and just there he is, Stefano. All right, has been someone that's doing a really, really good job through the back end of this season. So 60s and 70s and 80s, but he doesn't have that ton in him. So, that's what you're looking at Payne Haas. And it's just a very simple decision, in my opinion. 87 is the average for him, which is pretty wild. So think about lobbing him into your side. Could you go 2 front rowers? Probably not. I wouldn't decide to go there, especially when we've got triple points for captain, double points for VC. Now, moving on to second row forward, there's a few different players that you can pick from that I think are at the top of the list. Now, that 80-minute performance on the weekend from Aaron Clark, can we see that again? So he becomes someone that I think is in the top 4. And that top 4 is Eli Gatoa, Aaron Clark, Hudson Young, and Jacob Preston. All those guys have plenty of upside. They have the base stats as well to do an awesome job. Now, if you're looking probably second tier to that, Isaiah Yeo comes into the frame. We know he's going to get the 80 minutes in this one, and he has some upside around the attack as well. Other guys that could be of interest to you are Angus Crichton. We know that he's been very down for the most part through this last part of the season, Supercoach wise, and then Viliami Kikau as well. So coming back from his injury, he sits in that mold along with Paddy Carrigan as well, who can be played across the second row forward and the front row forward position as well. And we mentioned Corey Horsburgh, he sits into that as well. Now, his second row forward, a position I could pick 2 players in? No. So therefore, in my eyes, it's how many Storm players do you actually want, and which one is your most important? If you're wanting to get in 5'8", you could be looking at Munster. In hooker, you could be looking at Grants. Then you can't get an Eli Guitar. So pick and choose how that fits your side personally better. So Ellie, Aaron Clark, if he can go the 80 minutes, he's probably the best pick. But we don't know if he's going to get those 80 minutes. And we know that there's a chance that he goes for a mid-40s or 50s type score if he gets closer to the 50 minutes, which I just don't think is possible in this game. He's very, very good and very, very important last week and close to their best player right now in a do or die clash. So yeah, it's all leading towards big minutes, and why else would they do it last week if it wasn't an audition for this week? Huddy Young, we know he has the highest upside for the second row forwards at the moment. If he comes out and has a whale of a game, then he'll be the best scorer in Supercoach for second row forwards anyway this week. Jacob Preston, we know that he has that upside with the try scoring. It is up against Melbourne though, and Blorey's going to be back and a few different things that could make it a little bit tougher. The team's not playing great, so there's a couple of things on the negative side, but there's plenty of upside as well with him being a 70 average guy for the season. So in that scenario, I'm probably personally looking at the top 3 and making a decision on one of them. Now, if I pick Grant and a good chance it's Munster, then I can't pick Ellie, so it'll be Clark or Hudson Young. I'm probably leaning towards Huddy right now in this one, just because I know he has that lovely upside. Now, halfback this week, it's between 2, Nicho Hynes and Nathan Cleary, and it's very, very difficult to go past Nathan. Now, if you're looking to play it as a hit or miss, right? If you don't pick Cleary, in this, you could pick Nicho and Cleary, given it's a 2, you can go 2 with the flex. And this is the first position that I would look at potentially doing it, in going Nicho and going Nath. Nicho plays the Roosters, and I'm glad that he gets an opportunity to actually get out there. And then Nath up against the Warriors, and I think that he'll do a really, really good job. What I was going to say at the start was that you could fade Nath, and in that case, you're either going to be right at the top and in with a shot of winning, or you're going to be very, very low. I can't see that to be too, if he gets injured or something, then you would win that week. If he doesn't get injured and he plays, I think he should be getting sort of a 90 plus, and in that case, you're probably hurting right now because there's no clear other sort of secondary option. Outside of a Sam Walker, he definitely could have a good game. He's averaged 70 across the 8 games. He's the clear third pick, but I couldn't see myself going for any of those guys, like Walker and below, just because we know the upside that the guys like Nicho can have, and then what Cleary can produce as well. So definitely an opportunity to pick both of them. The question will be, do you go for 2 halfbacks or do you go for 2 fullbacks? in this game. For the 5/8 position, as you can see, Cameron Munster is a very clear top tier candidate. Number 2 on the list has to be Ethan Strange, just because of his try scoring ability. And there are games out there where he was able to score doubles and triples and go for tons. And that's what we're looking for in this game. Can you get as many of the top tier options as possible that can hit the hundreds? And he's definitely one of those guys. Chanel, Galvin, Talangi could be okay if they go on a bit of a roll, the Panthers, but a bit Burton I would have in that list as well as a bit I'd have Wishart over all of these guys outside of Munster and Strange. And again, it could depend if you want to get Eli Katoa, you want to get Harry Grant, and then you then can't get Munster, and that's where Strange works really well. Wishart, we know, can come out and have really good games. He's not going to be goal kicking, which is a bit tough. Ben Hunt, 7 again, but not super exciting. So that's the 5/8 position. There's a very limited amount of options. Trindle can go okay, but not someone you want to play with. So I think one of those top 2 is the call at 5/8. And for centre wing, I think this is where the week will be won. There's a few guys that you could really go for, and they could go massive, they can go really low. Nwangi Tawaze is one of those guys, got the 75 average, ties himself basically with Kiraz with a 76. And then you have a few other guys down here on average. So let's just click average only. That'll make it a bit easier for us. You've got Cal Iro in there this week, coming off 2 back-to-back low ones. He would be a scary proposition, but we know that if the Sharks play well, there's a good chance that he can do that as well. He was in the 80s for an average on the season up until that last 2 games. Kiraz is in the 23 jersey. If he comes into play, then I think that he has some potential fun about him, but it is against the Melbourne Storm coming off a couple of losses. Marky Boy, the guy that I think will be most highly owned, given his recent incredible efforts, 4 tries, 3 tries, that type of thing there. You might be looking at Teddy in fullback, and if you're looking at Crichton in second row, you can't get all 3, so just have to think about that one. Roger, he's been really, really good in recent history, especially the running between the wickets, the runs out of his own half, and anytime they can get an opportunity, he's been the one to ice it recently. So Roger, definitely someone that I think is slightly below that top tier of, if Kiraz was to play, Nawa and then Iro, just ahead of Roger there, I'd say. But that's the worry against Penrith, I suppose. The next few guys, you could go for like a Casey McLean is a bit of a fun pick there, definitely, for sure. Tony Staggs, how are they going to go against Canberra? We've got Matt Timoko as well. It's going to be a little bit lower down the line, along with Tupou. We know Xavier Coates can have really good games as well, so I have him as a bit of a flyer. You have Ronnie Mulatalo as a bit of a flyer, but again, a lot of these guys could be hundreds. It could be 30s and 40s. How's Timoko going to go against the left-hand side? Shibasaki. That's going to be interesting to watch. Can Crichton really step up and perform well for his side? Brian To'o I really like, and he's someone that's firming as a player that could be making my squad, to be honest. I think he will fly under the radar a little bit, just given he has had a bit of an injury run and hasn't played the last few weeks and hasn't scored his best in SuperCoach this year at a 61.2. So he's on my list as a potential buy as well. You got Chance in there. I just don't see a really big one from him. You got guys like Ramian, Isaac Tungall. They could all have decent clashes there, but not someone that I'm super excited about there. And that's it on the centre wingers. And a fullback to finish this one off. Those centre wingers, I don't think that you could put one of them in your flex. I think you just select one and your favourite one, because they're going to be very volatile. Whereas a lot of these guys are going to score well. Now, you've got the top 3 average players there, and there's not too many else. There's not too many others there. Would you pick a KO Weeks against Broncos? Probably not. Would you pick Kennedy? Would you pick Chance? No. Meaney could be okay against the Dogs. Definitely, I'd have him as a pick over Connor Tracy, but it is one of these 3, or 2 of the 3. Teddy's the most reliable. He's up against a solid side, not the best side. Walsh has been in red-hot form, the best form in the comp, but he's up against the best squad in the comp. So he's a really fun one. He will be goal kicking again this week, which is something to note with Reynolds being out. And then you've got Dylan Edwards. Hasn't been in great form of recent history, but we know can turn it on, especially come finals time. So I probably have it just in that order as it is: Tedesco, Walsh, and Edwards. And I'm going to try and fit Teddy and Walsh in that side. Now, Hines in that case would miss out, given I'd pick Cleary. But I think that week 1, it looks fairly stock standards, the players that you can pick. There's not a lot of variation. There'll be a couple of weeks here to come. Next week when there's 6 teams, and then the following week when there's 6 teams, is that right? No, next week when there's 4 teams, and the following week when there's 4 teams as well. We may have to have a fair bit of variation. There is probably going to be hundreds versus 20 sometimes, depending on our pick. So this week may be a little bit less of a get ahead week, but I think centre wing could be the position to try and get it. Going slightly different with a Hines in there, with a Dylan Edwards, with Ethan Strange, with one of the second row forwards could come out and get 100 over a 50, and front row forward would be hard to go past Haas and Hooker, just which one goes better of like the Brayley and the Grant type. So that's the big one there. Make sure you join the league, guys. 444936, I believe. I'll chuck that in the description as well. I hope that helped you guys with making your decisions. You should only have to take probably 5 minutes to go through this and select the ones you want now. Maybe 2 minutes after watching this video and this podcast. So big thanks to everyone for tuning in to the entire season of Supercoach and Fantasy as well. A little bit disappointed about that NBL, considering I was very much looking forward to it. But I'll get a video out on that one as well, and we'll have some fun still. So thanks so much, legends. We'll catch you in the next one.